Hi guys, I want to share something personal with you all. It's not about my hair, even though I have a lot of gray hairs. Um, I'm having major surgery in about 1 week. And the reason why I'm having surgery is because I have fibroids. Fibroids are large tumors, or sometimes small. They start out small, and they grow in the uterus. But don't worry, they're usually benign. About 0.2% of them might come back as having cancerous cells. I struggled sharing this with everybody, and I thought a lot about whether or not I should share. And I decided to share because I want to stop the stigmatization of women's health and women's health issues. Periods are not gross. Uteruses are not gross. Cervixes are not gross. They're not unnatural. They're not something to be embarrassed by. In having a major surgery like this, it's a big deal. My surgery is called a myomectomy, and it's being done laparoscopically. A lot of women in my situation will choose to get a hysterectomy, but I'm not ready for that at this point in my life. I've known about my fibroids for quite a few years, but in the past 2 months, managing them has become unmanageable. And actually, when I first found out that I had these fibroids and the scale to which they had grown, I got an IUD in order to manage the bleeding. So there are several different types of fibroids. I'm not going to go into all the different types because I'm not an expert, but the kind that I have are intramural fibroids, and they grow kind of in the lining of the uterus. And mine are fairly big. I have three, and in my most recent MRI, or the only MRI I've ever had, they were 10 centimeters, 8 centimeters, and 5 centimeters. So imagine a grapefruit, an orange, and a lemon all kind of chilling in my pelvis all at the same time. I kind of look like I'm about 4 to 5 months pregnant, but I'm not. I don't really experience a lot of pain. It's more discomfort. I am reading off to the side. Sorry, guys. Couldn't remember everything. Uh, it's sometimes I feel a little bit of pain in my sciatic nerve because it presses up against it. Sometimes I feel really full or bloated because of where they're located, and I have to pee constantly because they're sitting on my bladder. One of my favorite activities is to run or do ballet, but it's hard to do because the way that they sit bounces on my bladder, and after like a mile, it's terrible. I completed a 10K at Thanksgiving, and after the first mile, the other five were just terrible. Um, I can't wait to no longer have this inconvenience of having these things in my body all the time. My cramps aren't too bad, but I have noticed them more recently lately, and I've never really had cramps before. But my main problem really is my period, and it's really kind of bloody hell, literally. Um, it's so much fun to go to the bathroom every hour because I'm afraid that my tampon has bled through, or my pad has leaked, or more commonly, both have failed because I generally have to wear both. Um, and, one of the things about one of my fibroids is that it's pressing down on my vagina. So, um, tampons don't actually stay in. They kind of get pushed out. Uh, Ladies might appreciate that more than guys do, but it's not comfortable. And the doctor said that when she was examining me, that when she went in, she kind of had to like scoop it up to kind of be able to see my cervix. And I know that's graphic, but that's kind of what I'm dealing with. Um, my period flows are really heavy. There have been times where I've considered getting adult diapers because they're so bad, but I can't get to that point just yet. Um, and I have to often bring a change of clothes to work because you never know when there's going to be just a gush. Again, gross, but it is what it is. Um, it's sometimes sometimes I've had a gush of period blood go down my leg, and it's not awesome. Um, it's fine. I mean, it's not fine ever, but sometimes it's like, oh, 4 days a month. I can deal. That's cool. Like maybe a couple of days are super heavy, whatever. For somebody with fibroids, it's not usually a couple of days. It's frequently a couple of weeks, if not constantly. Um, I'm on a few support groups for other women who have fibroids, and a lot of these women say that they've been bleeding for 6 months straight, 7 months straight. Some of them, their flows are so heavy that they have to go to the doctor to get a blood transfusion. Fortunately for me, it hasn't come to that, and I think part of the reason why is because I have an IUD in place, and the IUD helps to regulate my periods, but still having a 14-day period is a really long time to bleed. Um, and every time I even say to my doctor, oh yeah, it's been 12 days, they're just like, that's insane. And I'm just like, I've been dealing with it for so long. That's what I'm used to. But to make things worse, it's like, I have to buy tons of feminine hygiene products. I have to wear something just about every single day of my life. And I don't want to do that anymore. It gets expensive, it's inconvenient. I always have to remember something. I can never go out during maybe about 1 to 2 weeks every month. I can't do anything where I'm not going to be near a bathroom. So that means no snowboarding, no hiking, no running, no running errands without knowing there's going to be a toilet there. So like I can go to Target. Ooh. And the thing with the IUD, it was supposed to help control the bleeding, and it did work for about 1 year, but then it started getting really heavy again. Um, and I think that if I didn't have the IUD, that it would be worse. I might have constant bleeding all the time, and I just don't want that anymore. Um, so I'm having my surgery on January 24th. It's currently scheduled for 9 a.m., but it might change. And it's going to be a laparoscopic myomectomy. It's way less invasive than an open myomectomy. That's more like a C-section. Some of you may remember that I posted on Facebook recently that I asked you guys what it was like to have a C-section. Well, I'm not having the open myomectomy, which is very similar to the cesarean. Instead, I'm going to have laparoscopic. So what they're going to do is they're going to punch like 4 holes in my stomach, including in my belly button, and maybe make about a 3 centimeter incision on my bikini line. And they're going to open me up, and the doctor said they're going to go in there and shave off pieces of my fibroids and put them in a bag and take them out, and then send them to pathology to check to make sure that they're not cancer, but I'm quite certain they're not. Yeah, it's gonna be like a quick, hopefully a 4-hour surgery. My recovery time is gonna be 3 to 4 weeks. The doctor recommended that I'm out for 4 weeks, but I said, well, what do you say with 3 weeks and then one, just to see how it goes? So that's what we're working with now. I'm I'm just really hoping that she's able to get all 3 out, because I don't want that third one to eventually cause any problems and for them to have to go back in a year to take it out because I'm having similar symptoms, because I just don't want this anymore. Again, my other option is a hysterectomy, but if I have a hysterectomy, that completely takes having children off the table. And while I realize that I'm 40 years old and the chances of me having kids are really slim, I'm just not ready to go there just yet. Just a couple of quick facts about fibroids. Fewer than 1 in 1,000 fibroids are cancerous, according to some websites. 70 to 80% of all women get fibroids. Not all are symptomatic like mine are, but pretty much almost every woman will have one. I talked to my mom and she said, oh yeah, I had one too. The doctor just went in and took it out. I was like, what? Was that easy? But apparently, because she was after having children, and she was fine with not having more children, she probably had an embolization. She wasn't really sure, but it was comforting for me to know. And then I reached out and I found out a few other women have had myomectomies and have had fibroids, and just hearing their stories has made me feel so good. So I'm hoping that this will help you too. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. Another thing is that more African American women have fibroids than any other group. I'm not African American, but I am Asian, and a lot of Asian women have fibroids too. So, give a little bit of extra care to the women in your life, because you never know who has what, and what they're dealing with. It's a big thing, and there's no known cause for fibroids. There's no way of knowing what can cause them to grow larger or grow at all. There has been evidence that red meat causes fibroids to grow, or not eating organic foods or whatever. Well, just so you know, I've been vegetarian for 14 years. I haven't eaten red meat or pork or chicken at all in that period of time, or fish. Um, I do eat dairy and eggs, and I don't always go organic with those, so maybe that's why, but who knows. Um, and there's no actual cure short of having a hysterectomy, which, as I mentioned, I'm not ready to have. Anyway, I just kind of wanted to share that with you all, share what fibroids are, destigmatize this issue in women's health, and any issue really, because it's important to talk about it, and it's important to know that it's okay. It's really okay, and there's nothing to be afraid of. Your surgeon is going to be amazing if you're lucky. Your surgeon is going to be amazing because you're going to pick an amazing surgeon. You're going to pick an amazing OB who's going to make sure that you're well taken care of and who listens to you. That's really important. And feel free to ask me any questions about my own personal journey. I'm more than open to share. Obviously, I made this video, but I just want everybody to feel comfortable to talk about this, even with each other. It's a huge thing, and it's really good to talk about our health, and staying healthy, and the things and the choices that we can have, and not being afraid to talk about this. Yeah, so I hope you all have a wonderful week. If you want to come and visit me, please feel free to visit me. I'm going to be home. It's going to be outpatient surgery, so I should be home the night of, but I probably won't be up for visitors for a few days. Yes, that's it. Please don't send me any food unless it's like vegetable broth. All right, guys, peace out. Have a good night.